Under the Dome, Season 2, Episode 2, Infestation. Now, this episode, of course, picks up right after the season premiere, where unfortunately we lose two characters, but in this episode, they really focus on us losing Angie because she was murdered randomly by someone in the middle of the night. And this episode sort of throws a lot of suggestions out there as to who did it. Of course, the big theory was that this random new girl who no one had ever seen, she was the one who did it. Her shoe print, of course, matched the bloody shoe print that they found. So they thought it was her. And in the end of this episode, we find out that it may or may not have been Junior, and we really don't know. It could have been him. It could have been some other crazy random thing, but I'm sure we're gonna find out. I mean, the girl, when she confronted him, when he was asking her why you did this, she didn't really say it wasn't me, it was you, or anything like that. So they might get to that. It might have been like she had a gun to her face. She wouldn't really just say it was you and you know it, because she would have just had her brains blown out. But I'm sure we'll get the answer to that for sure in upcoming episodes. It could have been that it was him. It could have been a different guy that we haven't seen yet, and they knew that he was drunk and they put the bracelet there. Who knows with this show? Anything could really go down. But it was a really good episode. It really focused a lot on Angie's death and how it affected the people around her, especially her younger brother. And then the other half of that was the infestation in this episode, which was all the butterflies, all the monarchs. There were just tons of them inside the dome. A lot of them were dying off. Excuse me, they had eggs all over the place. And it kind of set up something. I thought it would just be something that they had to focus on in this specific episode because it was the infestation one. And we have our new scientist, Rebecca, our new character, and she figured out the problem. We have to burn these certain crops so that we can get rid of the eggs so they don't hatch and turn into hungry caterpillars. And we found out at the end of this episode that wasn't exactly the solution. It was just a way to keep all of the food that they could possibly have. But it didn't exactly mean that they would save all of the people. And we find out that this infestation, well, even without the infestation, they wouldn't have had enough food. But the infestation itself, having to burn so many crops and or at least doing the fertilizer, I'm sure that had some minor effects since they don't really have a lot to use. But having to do all that, it didn't really mean much because they don't have enough food to support all of these people. And it's going to be a continuing thing in this episode. And I love what they did in this one, where in the season premiere we got to see Big Jim. He kind of got his first taste of the dome can control certain things, or at least seemingly control certain things. And in this episode, we really see him switch around as a character, and it's like he's nice to everybody. He really believes that the dome is testing him, and he's sort of still the same character because he's like, I have to prove that I'm the great leader and stuff like that. But he's being really nice. He's helping people out, and then at the end of this episode, during the funeral, like once he walked around the casket, I was like, there it is. It was like just the flip, and he came right back to who he always was. And he kind of changed. He was still a little different because he was talking about, what do you guys believe in? And they say it's him, and he doesn't say what you would expect him to say. He's kind of just like, oh well, that's really nice, but it's not just about me. So he has changed a bit, but that right there, it kind of showed he still wants to lead these people because he feels like if he is the great leader he's supposed to be, then the dome is gonna spare everybody. So he's still kind of the same character, but at the same time, he thinks that he has to be this great leader for a different reason now because he actually believes in the dome. So that should be interesting to see how that changes the way he acts throughout the rest of the season. And also the character Rebecca, she's just like really trying to push him because she's really by the numbers. Like in the first episode or in the premiere, it seemed really simple. She was going to be the science based character where it's like it's not the dome, it's just numbers and this and that. And in this episode, we see she's not just the science person, she's the realist. She's like, we don't have food, we have too many people. We're gonna have to kill people off, or people are gonna have to die. Like she didn't say like, oh, people are gonna just die off. She made it seem like we people are gonna have to get killed off in order for a lot of other people to survive. So it was interesting to see her promote or kind of stand behind Big Jim and just push him. And she kind of seemed like she hated Barbie for him taking the plane, and I guess that's because he kind of tricked her into talking in the Big Jim. But she was just she's really behind Big Jim being the main leader and being the big hero who leaves a legacy, as she puts it. So I'm curious to see how her character continues throughout the season, because it really seemed like she was kind of manipulating Big Jim towards the end. It was almost like she was just made by the dome, almost, or that the dome was controlling her because she was there before the dome. But just how she acted in this episode seems so different from the last one. I was like, oh, she's not just gonna be there for science. She's gonna be there to push Big Jim. And if she was there in season one, who knows what he would have done. I don't think he could have been much worse than what he was in season one. But I feel like she's gonna be the character who eventually, like, he's in this sort of nice mode. She's gonna push him right back into what he was in season one, and that could cause who knows how many problems. But I like her character for sure. I like her more in this one because she seems slightly evil. She's definitely anyone for Big Jim isn't exactly someone I can root for, but I'm curious as to how they think and how their character will develop. So enjoyed the episode. We don't get much on the girl. We get to see Big Jim's brother-in-law again. He's also I can't think of her name, the monarch woman. I'm just call her that. He shows her the picture of the girl, so she finds out that he's Big Jim's brother-in-law. But that just got me thinking when they were talking about his sister. I'm still so confused as to why they thought she was dead. Like, did they not check her body? Did she, like, what? I don't understand what happened where she could just escape after, like, killing herself or, faking her own death. So I'm really excited to get some answers on that. I feel like we won't for who knows how many weeks. It might not be until, like, the middle of the season, but I'm really curious about getting some answers as to how she's alive, how she faked her death, how she faked her death and then just left an entire city and nobody noticed. But it was a good episode. We don't get a lot of answers. We just get a bunch of questions. Everybody's sort of saved. Who knows what's going to happen next week with blood raining from the sky. And then we have the guy coming back who's, I think he was the only person in season one that Big Jim couldn't exactly fight against. He had a bunch of people on his team. He was the guy with, like, all the oil tankers, or the gas tankers, I mean. So he's coming back. And if I remember right, Big Jim kind of blew up his tankers at the end of that episode on season one. He caught him in the middle of the night and he blew him up. So he's probably going to be a little pissed in this upcoming episode. But I'm definitely excited for it. And also in one scene, it seemed like the blood that was coming out, it was almost affecting the girl. So it could just be her. But it seemed like she was almost burned by the blood falling from the sky. So we once again might get a couple more answers out of who she is, how she just appeared. Like I said, she, last time I feel like she had to have come out of the egg because she just popped out of the water out of nowhere. So we'll get some more answers hopefully. But I definitely enjoyed this episode. Can't wait for next week. Comment below, let me know what you guys thought of it, your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and do you guys really think that James actually killed Angie when he was just in this weird drunken, blackout mode? Do you guys think he actually did it, or do you guys think maybe the dome is taking over the people so that they kill each other off because they need to for some reason? Comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.